Good morning, geometry class. I know you haven't noticed it, but I've noticed it. I've had some trouble uploading some stuff today. So I'm going to do this all over again because I love doing this. Got a lot of interesting answers on the homework from last night. So I'm going to show you one more time what we were talking about because you're going to repeat the skill again today. An inscribed angle is an angle whose vertex, that point right there, is on the outside of the circle, and it cuts through or just touches the other points and cuts an arc, right? And what we say is that the measure, this angle here, x, right, is half the size of that. So twice of what that is what that is there. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. If this were a, let's say, a 30-degree angle, okay, down here 2 times 30 would be 60, so it cuts a 60-degree arc. A 30-degree inscribed angle cuts a 60-degree arc. And that's all there is to it. It's no big deal. There's nothing huge, nothing fancy about it. It just means that this is half of the arc that it creates. And it's because when you go to the center of the circle, this arc right here is twice this angle here is twice the size of that angle, and we name these arcs by that central angle. But I don't want to go too far with this. I want to make sure that you have the right concept. So the first two on today's work have to do with what's the angle here. Therefore, the angle measure of this arc has to be twice that size. Or if they give you the arc measure, pardon me, then you have to cut it in half and put that number in here. All right, so that's the first two. Let me log on because I've been talking too much. And let me talk about the next one. The next one is a little bit annoying. I'm just going to change this one ever so slightly. And now we're not going to talk so much about, we're not going to be given information on the angle. We're still looking for the angle. What's the angle here? But they're going to give you a measure here, and I'm going to say this is, I don't know, let's call it 100. Okay, 100 is a good, easy number to work with. And I'm going to say this over here is 140. These are two good, easy numbers to work with. And we know for a fact that if we add up this arc plus this arc plus this arc, we have a whole circle, and the whole thing is 360 degrees. So what you'll do is you'll add these two numbers together, you'll subtract it from 360, and you'll see what's left over. Okay, and I'll write it out. 100 plus 140 equals 360, and then we'll say 240. I forgot my x. How come x plus 140 plus 100, x plus 240 equals 360, and then we'll subtract 240 from both sides. Sorry about that earlier mistake. There I am, subtracting from both sides because that's what keeps our equation balanced. X has got to be 120 degrees. Okay? And so what's left over? It's 120. But you could have figured that out too. You could have just said, okay, well, it's 240. What's left? I need another 120. And so there's part of the answer. It's not the final answer, is it? If I know this is 120, I'm not going to write 120 in here. That's not a 120 degree angle. It's a much, much smaller angle than 120 degrees because it's an inscribed angle. And this is twice the size of that value there. And so you're going to say, hey, that's why I had to find that. because I can't find this until I find this. And so if you cut it in half, you get 60. All right? The numbers that are on the page are different than this, but not by much. All right? Now I'm going to go to the last one that I'm going to do in this video. And the information you need is pretty simple if you just look at the circle. I have too many people giving me homework saying I couldn't do a certain problem, so they just didn't do it. Didn't try and reason it out, didn't try and look for answers, didn't try and find something else. If you want to be finished by 11 a.m. and give me incomplete work, I'm really going to start grading it harshly. Okay, so you go ahead, make those choices, but make the right choice. Send me a text, send me some sort of message. I'll get to it. If I don't get to it, then I'm a horrible person and I won't count off. But don't send it to me at 10 o'clock at night and expect me to answer it and get you that homework. All right, this is a diameter. It cuts straight through the middle of that circle, right? And it goes all the way across. And what we know about it is it cuts this whole thing in half. So if I lifted this up, I'd have a semicircle, and I pulled that down, I'd have a semicircle. And the distance from here to here is 180 degrees. And the distance from here to here is 180 degrees. That is really important. That is the most important thing to know in number 4, because they want to know what PM is, and I don't think it's listed on your sheet. And I hope it is anyway. They want to know what this distance is from here to here, but they do something sneaky. They stick a number in here. I'm going to stick the number 20 in here. Okay? And they're being real sneaky about it, because now you have to remember that this inscribed angle is only half of that arc right there. So if this is half, we double it, and now we know this arc is 40 degrees. Well, heck, man, if that arc is 40 degrees, 40 plus what number gives me 180? All right, so I already know it, but I'll say x plus 40 equals 180. I'll subtract my 40 from both sides. And x equals 140. All right, so you still had to do 2 steps. You still had to realize that this is only half of that, and then move on. All right, that is the single most important concept that you need in this homework. Okay, we're going to talk about multiple angles cutting out the same arc next.